through your freedom.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Well, I guess that'll fix it. Well, I said the most important things I've ever said in my life, and the microphone was off. I'm sorry. Yep, I think I'm going to leave the show now, turn off the microphone. I've said all there is to say. Okay, let's try this again. Thank you, Jolene, for letting me know the microphone was off. Is it on now? It should be. God. What a great intro. Folks, it's 2022. Shit has hit the fan. And look, the story can change. Thank you, Jolene. The story can change. The agenda can be flexible. The narrative can be morphed. But tyrants and tyranny never, ever change. There, I said it again, and I said it right the second time, too. Good deal, John. You get a cookie. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It's 2022. We're leading into it. What a mess. What an absolute abject mess we have on our hands. I'm going to give you some choice examples of what is happening. I want you to bring your examples of shit that's going wrong in 2022, right? Bring them in the form of questions, comments, statement, whatever you have. Get them into Jolene, because I've got the first half hour. You've got the second half hour. I do my monologue. You do Q&A with me right here, and we get it on. And I'm still waiting, folks, waiting for an opportunity. How about a syndicated mega radio show says, you know what? You guys on the Prepared Mind Network are so awesome. We need to have you. That'd be good. That would be really good, right? You bet. Well, for now, we've got tyranny, tyrants, we've got censorship and turds in the social media sphere. But let's do it. Let's just get into this. Folks, in Kazakhstan, not Kirplekistan, not Turkmenistan. In fact, I think Kirplekistan is that made-up stan from Austin Powers movies. But Kazakhstan, guess what they're doing? They're rioting. So the government says, hey, there'll be no more rioting. We're the government. So they send in the police. They send in the military. And guess what the military and police did? They ran for their lives. They're out of control in Kazakhstan. Why? They claim it's over gas prices. Gas prices. How can gas prices cause people to riot and violently attack police and military so that they leave? I believe now at this stage, because it's a developing story, at this stage, the government has said, we're out of here. They resign. The government has said to Russia and another country, please help us. That is how bad, folks, government can be, and how the people don't put up with it. I don't think it's about just gas prices. I bet there's some other stupid going on. And folks, we got lots of stupid. Let me give you an example. In France, their president, Emmanuel Macron, right? The guy who married a woman who looks to be old enough to be his mother. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have any problems with that, except I want to make fun of him. That's right. So Macron says, you know, screw the unvaxxed. Basically, he has called them non-citizens, and he is vowing to piss them off. Oh, that's a fucking smart thing to do there, Mr. Macron. You want to piss off the people and call them non-citizens? And he does this, folks, at the same time, concurrent with the French and European Union program of bringing in foreigners and kissing their asses and not enforcing the law. They coddle them instead. They don't bring them into the French culture. So you know what? F you, Macron. I mean, seriously. He's going to piss off his own people who elect him. That's his job. The unvaxxed. Will we see riots and violence in France? Yeah, we saw it last year, the year before, the year before. It's coming back, folks. These people in power are abject idiots. Folks, the stories may change, the name of the country, the name of the players, but tyranny and tyrants all act the same. It is the same play again and again. He's going to piss off his people till they revolt. Let's see, what other French leader did that? Oh yeah, King Louis, who ended up being arrested by the people. The people. He was not given a trial by jury of his peers and given due process. No, they grabbed him, marched him to a platform with a guillotine on it, and in front of God, the world, and all of France, they cut his head off. And when his head was severed from its body, they picked it up and showed it. They showed him his own body so that in those fleeting moments before he lost consciousness, he could see his own severed corpse. I am not recommending that. I'm not glamorizing or glorifying it. It is a fact. You want to piss off your citizens. You want to piss off the people of the country, the people that you're supposed to work for. What a dick. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of a French Gavin Newsom. I can't stand that French prick. Ah, what an asshole. He's a tyrant. And that's usually the response people have to tyrants, is they just get pissed off at them. In Kazakhstan, they are now rioting. Now, this is great. We have a media ding-dong going off about January 6th. She's going off about January 6th, right? She's on The View with the other cackling hens. And they can't let it go. Anna Navarro took her obsession with Trump. It's not an obsession. It's Trump derangement syndrome. Took it to another level and went on a rant, an absolute rant about Donald Trump, President of the United States, and says there's things which I think should transcend partisanship and should transcend politics, and a breach of the U.S. Capitol, an attack on our democratic principles and institutions should be one of those things. I really blame Republicans at the top for capitulating to Trump, right? It's incredible. There is no understanding. No understanding. Folks, they're using Trump derangement syndrome in the 2022 campaign. That's what this is about. The tyrants in charge and their mouthpieces in media have nothing for themselves. They have no policies which are going to help, let's see, hyperinflation, supply shortages, energy crisis that's happening right now. We've got energy crisis. We've got everything happening negative, and it's the Biden administration who canceled jobs, fired people day one of his administration, shut down pipelines, oil pipelines, energy pipelines. They have nothing. All they are is, let's see. This is the Democrat platform. Let's see, a pro-Green New Deal, pro-abortion, and pro-we hate Trump. And oh yeah, F America. That's their platform in the Democrat Party. That's what they got. Tell me one constructive thing they have that they proposed. So they're using Trump derangement syndrome, a hatred of Trump, in the 2022 campaign. This year is going to be a fucking disaster. We just got done with Christmas. We just got done with New Year's. And here they come right out the gate attacking Trump. It's like, he's not running for president. In fact, it's not even a presidential election year. It is an off year. And that's all they have is their hatred for Trump. And by the way, their hatred for the unvaccinated. Oh, yeah, that's what they got, folks. So I was talking with Crispy Bacon, and he's and we're discussing herd immunity, and then the topic of herd stupidity came up. We are reaching peak herd stupidity. I don't know if we're ever going to get herd immunity, because the goalposts for that keep changing too. They do. The goalposts for that keep changing. But I have a funny feeling we've reached herd stupidity. All of those sheep who have been put in the pen over here, they're in the pen. They put themselves there. They've got the Jim Jones juice. They're happy with it. Unbelievable, folks. Let me give you an example of herd stupidity. Because of this mentality, this herd mentality of believing lies, misconceptions, corruption, and basically worshiping all things materially stupid, right? A hospital closes. Now, what's interesting is this is a Florida hospital. It's closing its maternity unit. That is the unit where babies are born. They're closing the maternity unit due to staffing shortages. Why do they have staff shortages? Because they fired healthcare workers who refused to take Jim Jones juice. Does that make sense? Right? Again, a hospital is where herd immunity should be understood. A hospital is where herd stupidity should not be. Yet, what do we have? Hospital firing its healthcare workers over a political decision. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. Now, Kazakhstan. I want to go back there. Kazakhstan is a giant mess. The people are rioting, but guess what? Their country isn't owned, operated, administered by a bunch of terrorists. Yet, there is a country that sounds similar to Kazakhstan that is Afghanistan. Afghanistan, which is near Kazakhstan, is run, owned, controlled, operated for the benefit of terrorists called Taliban. Folks, let's see, who's responsible for Afghanistan? That would be Joe Biden, El Presidente. And so Ted Cruz is claiming multiple grounds for impeaching. If we get a GOP House, well, folks, impeach is in the House. The trial is in the Senate. If you're going to even bother impeaching anyone, you better get rid of them too, right? You need the House and the Senate. But is there enough to get rid of Joe Biden? Should we? Has he done something bad? Right? Remember Afghanistan, folks. He abandoned thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans, not to mention our allies, Afghani allies, as well as other European coalition forces, allies, and people. Left them there with terrorists, right? They want to claim that there's a problem in Kazakhstan and we just can't tolerate that as the free, rich America. Biden, what did you do there, right? Yeah, Biden has violated our rights. Yeah, that sounds impeachable. Anyone? Afghanistan. When Kazakhstan falls into the hands of some Taliban-like group, then we can say, yeah, there's a problem there. And even then, right, Biden can't say a word. Look what he did to Afghanistan and his own people. Folks, the story may change. The setting, the time frame, the agenda, the narrative, but it's always tyrants, it's always tyranny that is the problem. It just is. I mean, am I wrong? I'm not always right, but am I wrong about that one? I don't know, folks. It's 2022. Do you feel free today? Do you feel freer today than you did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years? What is better today in your world? Now, I'm not talking about a particular, maybe a job or the weather. I'm talking about overall, the overall picture. Is it better today than it was 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago in your life? I'd say not. I think the only people that would say yes would be communists and socialists, because they almost have their utopia here. They're using the government, they're using banks, and oh yeah, now they're using communications companies. Let's get into this, folks. Phone companies get to decide what you want and don't want. Did you know that? Well, get this, T-Mobile, folks. If you have T-Mobile, it is now time to cancel it. Get the hell out of it. Change contracts, give them the bird, whatever it takes. T-Mobile has cited the Federal Communication Commission, the FCC. They've cited their decision from 2018, folks. Way back in 2018, they've decided to look at this decision in 2018 to block unwanted and spam text messages. T-Mobile can block unwanted and spam text messages. That's what they're using, that FCC paper and decision. They're using that now to what? To censor gateway pundit links and other links on text messages. So now T-Mobile is deciding what is wanted and unwanted, and what is spam and what is not. Unbelievable. They're working in conjunction with, folks, other mainstream media and the political powers that be that reside on that turd city, that shithole called Washington, D.C. Right? We've seen enough of this. I've had enough of their crap. Their crap about social media, whether it's Twitter or I don't know, maybe that thing called YouTube, right? Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Name your social media. These people think they know what's best for you. So they're going to start blocking texts. And if they get away with it, folks, if they don't get backlash, if people don't just start dropping them like a bad habit, they're going to go, yeah, that was fine. Let's keep doing that shit. They're going to start, reading your text messages, running them through a filter, in other words, to determine if your social credit score, right, is low. They're going to start reading them. I'm sure they're going to start building a credit score, and they're going to start removing your text messages. Maybe they'll tell you who you can and can't text, who you can and can't hear from, because they might be a dangerous source of misinformation, spam, unwanted thought. The thought police are on you, folks, not the thoughts you have in your head, but they don't even want the thoughts to get to your head. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Has shit hit the fan? Oh, you bet. And this is how Macron would say it. Oh, oui, you bet. Fucking people, these tyrants, folks. These tyrants are everywhere. I sure hope you live in a free state like me, something like Mississippi or Georgia, Texas, Florida, Arizona. Move to where freedom is, folks. I mean, it's not a bad idea to stay where you're at and fight for it, but, here we are. This is incredible. Tyrants. Fucking tyrants. This jackass reporter in Washington, D.C. I could end the show right there on that, and you're like, yep, shit's hit the fan. Jackass reporters, Washington, D.C. Right? This jackass reporter asked Jen Psaki, Raggedy Ann, that ginger tart of a dumbass, asks her why President Biden isn't, quote, get this, why isn't Biden, quote, focused more on scolding the unvaccinated? So the President of the United States, his job is to scold people who do not agree with his political position on a medical condition and the advice that would come in treating said condition. He gets to scold them. That is his job. Folks, understand this. Children get scolded by their parents. I am no child, and I'm no child of Biden's. If Biden wants to scold somebody, Why doesn't he scold Hunter? You know, for snorting coke off a hooker's ass, doing things with underage girls. What the hell's that all about? Smoking a crack pipe on film. If anyone needs a scolding, it's him. Why isn't this reporter saying, why isn't Biden more focused on scolding his idiot son? Well, that's right. Biden thinks his son is one of the smartest people he's ever met. Now, does that mean Biden's never met anyone with an IQ higher than 50? Or does that mean Biden is just too stupid to know better? Or is he a freaking tyrant, out of his mind, inebriated with his authoritative status? Yeah, I think that pretty much describes it. Children are scolded, folks. Servants are scolded. I'm not Biden's son or grandson. There'll be no scolding of me. So does he think I'm his servant? You know, slave? Is that what he thinks? That we're a bunch of servile morons and he gets to scold us? Well, I don't know what Biden thinks, but this reporter certainly thinks that, folks. It lets you know where the media stands with regard to you and your liberties, America and our freedoms. You know, Brandon, let's go Brandon, can go F off. And this reporter, right, should focus on scolding themselves for being complete morons. Tyrants, folks, they're everywhere. Tyrants. Tyrants. Now, here's another bring it on moment coming from Jen Psaki, Raggedy Ann idiot, right? Jen Psaki says this. Okay, same thing today. Jen Psaki comes out and says that President Biden is going to spend January 6th. January 6th, folks, the 1 year anniversary of the January 6th bullshit fake insurrection, which was a label applied to a peaceful protest that turned violent when the police started antagonizing, beating, and shooting peaceful protesters with rubber bullets. And more evidence is continuing to come out, and more of that evidence is being ignored by the mainstream media. Now let's get to it. So Psaki says Joe Biden is going to spend tomorrow attacking Trump, criticizing Trump for the January 6th insurrection. Now, all around Biden, his administration is failing and crumbling. What policies does he have, folks? Let's see, shut down energy, open the southern border, tell people to get Jim Jones juicinated, pretend to talk tough to Putin while Putin laughs at him. See, what else is Biden doing? Oh, yeah, he's going to Delaware, 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 and going to Delaware. Basically, he's hiding in his basement, and he only comes out of the basement to go into his fake White House studio, complete with green screen window dressing. We are living in dystopian times. What's on your mind, folks? What's on your mind? What are you thinking about as 2022 is initiated? I told you after Christmas, I told you after New Year's, they're coming after us. They're coming after us, folks. And oh, there are lots of lockdowns, lots and lots of demands by government, shutting people out of their businesses. Yeah, they want us scolded. They want us excoriated. They want us locked down. They want us punished for not taking the Jim Jones juice. Why? Well, that's what they want. They're not going to give up that power. That's right. We have the I hate you virus coming out of France. Don't forget about that. That is still there, folks. And Joe Biden's going to wake up tomorrow. He's going to step outside his door. And when he sees his shadow, he's going to start blabbing about all the evil that Trump has done. They don't have any real policies, folks, to help America. They don't have anything to campaign on in 2022. So what they're going to do is they're going to attack President Trump. And do you think that, just that alone, do you think that's enough to excite the voter base to go out and vote for Democrats. The vote's now 24, folks, 24 out of less than 240 Democrats in Congress have said they're not going to run for re-election. That's 10% or more, folks. 10% of the Democrats in Congress are like, peace out, we're gone, done. They know they've had it. They know it's a lost cause. They know, folks, what they've been doing is wrong. Don't worry, though. Take your Jim Jones juice. Everything will be fine, right? Sometimes you just got to give up your rights.
I also want to ask you about the president's mandate. There's so much opposition now.
I understand, and we all understand, how people do not like to be told what to do. They want to make their own choice and their own free will.
Is there any thought of backing off of that?
People do not like to be told what to do, told what to do, told what to do. They want to make their own choice and their own free will, their own choice, their own choice.
Backing off.
Free will, their own free will. I get that and I respect that. Free will, I respect that. But these are unusual times. Their own free will, unusual times. I respect that. So I would prefer, and we all would prefer, that people would be voluntarily getting vaccinated, told what to do. But if they're not going to do that, sometimes you've got to do things that are unpopular, but that clearly supersede individual choices. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about requirements.
Maybe there would be a better word besides mandate, but I don't know what it is.
Yep, they want to supersede your rights with their mandates. Shit they've made up. Unbelievable. Enjoy the satire, right? I tell you what, folks, get this. Hey, get your Jim Jones juice. Down in Brazil, a 36-year-old man. That's right, 36-year-old man. He's a television reporter. He's on the TV. He's doing his job. 36, folks. 36. That's 15 years younger than me. And I'm kind of feeling kind of young today. 36-year-old man, reporter, collapses and suffers a heart attack, a cardiac arrest live on TV in Brazil. Heart attack. Done. Pow. Oh, what do you think he was bragging about? What do you think this jackass was bragging about as a news reporter, a member of the mainstream media in Brazil? Take a fucking wild guess. Take a wild guess. If it was a dartboard, folks, there should be one color. You hit that color, you nailed it. You know what it is. You know it. But these tyrants don't want you to know it. They want you to say, well, yeah, sometimes there comes a time. Sometimes you got to do what's unpopular and screw people out of their rights. What I say is I say what Dr. Fauci does. You got to follow the science, right? We don't violate community guidelines in terms of service here. We follow the science. We listen to Dr. Fauci. I guess some questions are best left unasked. Well, I'm not afraid to ask the questions. What was it that jackass in Brazil was pushing everyone to do? And then he fucking collapses of a heart attack, right? Come on, man. You know better than that. No, they don't, folks. They don't. Now, tyrants. Jen Psaki being an idiot. This one comes from Biden's mouth himself. Basically what he did is he tells parents not to allow their kids near those who are not fully juicinated. Go Brandon. What a Brandon Joe is. Let's go, dude. You're brilliant. He tells people not to allow their kids near the unjuicinated. Why? I mean, shouldn't he quote the science, or is he quoting the science? Unbelievable, folks. Well, I mean, here's something interesting. I mean, let's go with this. Let's roll with it. In Michigan, folks, in Michigan, over 99% vaccination compliance in the health system. Nearly 700 employees are testing positive with cerveza bug. What could go wrong? Heart attack. Right. Brilliant. In fact, I think in Michigan, let's see, fully juicinated husband of the governor Gretchen Whitmore, Sig Heil, Nazi governor of Michigan, her husband comes down with cerveza bug after being fully juicinated, and I'm sure living the high life at taxpayer expense. I guess she's now in isolation. We must protect her imminence. Unbelievable, folks. These tyrants won't change. The story changes, the agenda changes, but they do not. They can change the words, folks. They can change the meanings, and it's all still a bullshit story. Dr. Drippy Faucet is now going from the term fully juicinated to up to date. All you have to do is say, I'm up to date and everything is good. And this, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. In Chicago, or the greater Chicago area, the Holocaust Museum there is demanding that if you want to enter, you must show your papers. You have to show your vax papers. Isn't that funny that you have to show your papers? This is coming from a group of people who they claim, right, were murdered by the millions by the Nazi regime. And what was the Nazi regime known for? Making people show their papers. They don't see the irony, the tragedy in that. Demanding people show your papers. Folks, the left, the political left, want you to show your papers or get on the train. Show your papers or go to re-education camp. Show your papers or you're not a citizen, right? Non-citizens, as the little tyrant Macron in France says. You know, unbelievable. Run, hide, it's the big bad cerveza. Show your papers, do as you're told, give up your rights. Unbelievable. Here we are, folks, 2022. Did I or did I not say it's going to get messy stupid? So let's do this. It is now your turn. What do you have to say? What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? Get your questions into Jolene.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, here we are. It's a heckin' head scratcher. Bonnie Blue 2A checks in and says, regarding Emmanuel Macron, non-citizens cannot vote. Socialist Democrats would love this in the United States of America. Illegal aliens voting, but the unjuicinated are prohibited. You bet. They're trying to create, folks, not just a two-tiered system where you have citizens and then second-class citizens. They want voters and the enemy that they've identified and have punished. Yeah, they don't, I mean, Macron's calling the French people who are citizens, who have a right to vote. He wants to call them non-citizens. He wants to piss them off. And trust me, over in France, yeah, they're already being kept out of restaurants and bars. They're being kept out of entertainment venues. They're being kept off the street, out of stores, businesses. They're doing everything they can to harass and piss off the people. They're asking for so much trouble. And then, folks, the tyrants will stand up and say, see how unruly the people are. See how out of control the unjuicinated are. They must be crazy. They must be out of their minds. See, they're going to push the people until the people snap. And then they're going to say, the people, we're going to have to, what? What are they going to do? Suspend your constitutional rights, because the people, those unwashed, dirty, unjuicinated people, can't control themselves. But who is it that's committing violence in America? It is the left-wing lunatics, folks. They're the ones attacking everyone else. Unbelievable. And you're right, Bonnie Blue. Thank you much. They do want this. Socialist, scumbag, communist Democrats would love in the United States of America for foreigners, right, illegal aliens, they would love for them to have full-on voting rights and for you to be denied, right? They say it's racist to demand identification to vote, to prove who you are and that you live in the district in which you're trying to vote. How does that make a lick of sense? It doesn't, folks. But don't expect these idiots, these tyrants, to make any sense. That's not their program. That's not their job. That's not their MO. Their modus operandi, their standard operating procedure now is to what? It's to make little to no sense, to completely go against common sense. It's crazy. All right, let's move on. David says, people are so used to getting a yearly flu shot, they won't be bothered by having to have a Rona booster every 6 months. There needs to be something more to wake them up and piss them off. If there's a lesson that I think we've all been taught about Americans, humanity, and politicians, the powerful, the weak, the stupid, the lazy, the apathetic, the arrogant, and the intelligent, is that if you incrementally, piece by piece, screw with people and put this out over a long enough period of time, when you visit them with something that is unconstitutional or uncomfortable, give them some time. They'll get used to it. Then the next thing, give it some time. They'll get used to it. Give it some time. They'll get used to it. Take their rights, violate their rights, hurt them, take their money, ruin their lives. They'll get used to it. They let the cat out of the bag a couple years ago when they said, you will own nothing and you'll be happy. That wasn't an idea. It wasn't a thought. It was a command. This is coming, you little peasants. Folks, that's what the tyrants were saying. That's what they believe. They will own everything and you'll be happy with the fact that you own nothing, right? People are going to wake off. They are pissed off, right? This thing in Kazakhstan, I question whether or not it's about fuel prices. I've seen fuel prices where I'm at go up over 50% in the last year. I'm not rioting, neither is anyone else. Are fuel prices enough to make people go bonkers? Or is it something else? Is that just the straw that breaks the camel's back? When people have had enough, they will go after the bad guys. We're just not there yet. Sadly, Americans are fat, sassy. We've got a lot of wealth that we created as a nation, and they don't want to lose that. When they start losing stuff, folks, that really matters to them, they'll fight. Now, you and I, as patriots, veterans, Americans, red-blooded constitutionalists, we recognize that something like the Second Amendment, our guns, is very important to us. And so if you say, that's it, no more guns, we're coming to take them, those are fighting words. That would be enough to cause people to stand up, to wake them up and piss them off instantly. So the government stays away from that and is trying to persuade people, right, to get rid of their guns, but they won't command them away. But what are they mandating and commanding and making edicts over? Things they think they can justify, things they think they can lie to you about. Folks, judges who work for the government are having their decisions reflect reality. The government has no right. The government has no authority. The government does not have constitutional power. to mandate Jim Jones juice. Remember when all this started and people are like, oh yeah, there's that decision from the Supreme Court from 1906 that fully justifies that they have the power, and that may have fooled a bunch of idiots. It doesn't fool me, right? Doesn't fool me a bit. No, the government has no authority. Whether there's a pandemic, an epidemic, right, an anal-demic, I don't give a shit. They don't get to tell me what goes in my body. It's unbelievable. Okay, let's move on. We got C checking in. At least 4 billion useless eaters shall be eliminated by the year 2050 by means of limited wars, organized epidemics of fatal, rapid-acting diseases, and starvation, says John Coleman. I don't think that they're that patient. I mean, they could be. 2050. That's 28 years. 28 years from now. Go backwards. 28 years takes you to 1990. Nope, 1994. 2 years into the Clinton administration. So imagine all the Clinton administration, all the Bush W administration, all the Obama administration, the Trump administration, and 2 years of the Biden administration. That's how long they're saying it's going to take with these tyrants in control and pushing? I don't think so. I think that their, shall we say, sterilization program that was initiated, I believe the Jim Jones juice program is part of a sterilization program. You bet, folks. You bet. Sterilization means you won't be having kids. The population is going to suffer mightily, right? No reproduction. And an awful lot of people are keeling over. Remember the CEO in Indiana, right? The CEO of a large insurance firm said in Indiana, deaths of people 18 to 64 years of age are up 40%. Don't you think that's a little odd? If 40% of the, it's where do we go? Right? Where do we go? But I see what John Coleman is saying, and there have been predictions for decades that the powers that be want us dead. Bill Gates, that's right, Bill Gates is a big proponent of lower population. It's funny that he's also involved in medicine. Computer nerd, family member of a bunch of eugenicists, makes billions of dollars and spends his non-corporate computer life working on special programs that seem to be having the desired effect, population reduction. I think that they're going to discover, not by accident, but by design, that when you start screwing with people's reproductive capacity, it's going to have a much larger effect than what they wanted. But they would like, I think, a brave new world approach to reproduction. If you read that book by Aldous Huxley, it's another dystopian novel or novella on what would happen. In this book, folks, they don't tell you how they got there. They just start with a world where babies are created by the government to serve specific purposes. Their physical description, their makeup, their intelligence, their size is all prescribed, controlled, manipulated through DNA and cloning. Right? And so they only need so many workers, and they only need so much management, and they only need so many political leaders. And they only create what they think is needed to keep their system going. And in this book also, folks, there's an age limit. Everyone has great health. Everyone looks perfect until age, I think it's 60 or 64 in the book. And then they check out. They go to the death factory where they are put to rest. Unbelievable. But that's the world, folks. That's the world that these people in charge would love to have. Now we got Pete DeVal checking in. He says, John, did you hear about the New York teacher that gave a dose of the Jim Jones juice to her son's friend in her home? I think it was, there's video of it. Yes, I have. A woman, she's in trouble now, without the boy's parents' knowledge, gave him the Jim Jones juice. Now, question I have is, how did she get it? Do you have vials of Jim Jones juice laying around? I mean, I've got cans of this stuff. I got cases of it. But vials of Jim Jones juice, how did this teacher get that? Where did she get a syringe? I mean, maybe she's diabetic and has insulin syringes around. Where did this woman who has a vial of Jim Jones juice, syringes laying around, where did she learn how much to give a boy, a minor, a child? Where was she taught how to administer it? Just a few questions I have. Right? The needle, the vial, the dosage, the instructions. And then number 5, who gave her the authority to do this? What made her, in her mind, think it's a great fucking idea to give that to a minor who is not even her own child without that child's parents' permission, right? Even if she got the parents' permission, is she authorized to do such a thing? Did she have a waiver signed? Did she get them to waive their rights? Did she get them to acknowledge that they had been fully informed about what it was they were doing? This is how sick in the fucking head these people are, folks. The stories always change, folks, but tyrants and their behavior never does. They take it upon themselves. They empower themselves. They give themselves special rights, special authority, special power to do whatever the hell it is they want. That's exactly what's going on here. Can you see it? Can you see it? This is how they operate, folks. They don't care about you. They only care about their sick, twisted, selfish agenda. They want to call us selfish for wanting to be free to make our own choices. They are so selfish, self-centered, and self-serving. Not to mention, they're a bunch of megalomaniacal buttheads. All right, let's move on if we shall. We got Mark the Prepared Klingon. And he says, here's a statement of John. News alert, white doctors are hiding information about Joe Biden's brain drain. White doctors. Oh, man. I tell you, we need some doctors of color out there to hide Joe Biden's brain drain. Yeah. Doctors hiding information about his brain. Basically, the man is, he's got dementia. He is a troglodyte of disintegrating proportions. Unbelievable. And they're hiding it. Yeah. I'm sure he must have several people of color on his staff hiding it and doing it because, you know, he's the most inclusive president ever. He is the great uniter, isn't he? Well, unless you don't believe him or obey him, then you're not one of his people. Now we got John Lord. Hey, Johnny. He says, wondering if the 1/6 peeps in jail are being used as lab rats. Oh, 1/6, meaning January 6th. Wondering if the January 6th patriots in jail are being used as lab rats for any and all kinds of medical treatments and research studies. Well, it is my understanding that there has been medical procedures that are forced on them. And I also understand that some of the January 6th protesters are being denied basic rights like shaving gear, food, cleanly conditions, cleanliness, clean conditions, because they are continuing to persist and deny the Jim Jones juice. So they're being punished. So it's hard to say. I don't know. I'm not there, thankfully. I feel very badly for the January 6th protesters who are being held without trial, without proper legal representation. They're being held without bail. Their crimes are not, the punishment, the way they're being held is not justified by the crimes, if any, that they are being accused of committing. The evidence is underwhelming. The evidence is overwhelming, though, of the FBI and the Washington police being involved in a conspiracy to frame the January 6th protesters and President Trump. Yeah, I wonder if they're ever going to get out. I wonder if the world is ever going to discover the absolute scum that is in DC. The assistant warden that is running this program is an anti-Trump, anti-Republican, anti-freedom hater, and she's running a political prison in DC. And she's just one of many, folks. The prison guards are beating the January 6th protesters, beating them. That is, physically beating them. If you've ever been beaten, it's not a fight, folks. A beating is a beating. A beat down. It hurts. There's nothing you can do about it but suffer the pain. Yeah, I hope that they're not being subjected to medical treatments and research studies. I pray they're not. But what they are suffering from, at the very least, is considered unlawful. It's considered illegal torture. It's disgraceful. It's despicable. And I won't go to DC, folks. DC can sink into the ocean, as far as I'm concerned, and take all the bureaucratic trash with it. Not to mention, no, I won't even mention, I'm not going to mention the rainbow joyness of people who live in Washington, D.C. Unbelievable, folks, how sick these people are. They're absolutely sick on every level. Incredible. All right. We got Misanthrope. That's a play on the word misanthropy. Says, Big John, I will fight, bleed, kill, and die by your side for our freedom and liberty. You fought for this nation as a soldier. Now you'll fight for yourself as a warrior. Folks, thank you very much for that, Misanthrope. I am not encouraging violence, sanctioning it. I am not condoning it, encouraging it, glamorizing it, glorifying any of that. There's going to come a time, though. There's going to come a time when we Americans are going to have to protect ourselves. Tyrants do not change. A tiger can't change its stripes either. Tyrants can't change themselves. They're given authority and they just can't get enough of it. As far as fighting, there's going to be plenty of fight going around for everybody. Don't pray for it. Don't wish for it. Just get ready for it. Be prepared for it. That's what this channel is really about. It is not about organizing militias. It is not about organizing protests. This channel is about being prepared. You need food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine. You need means of self-defense. You need a plan. But this channel is not about organizing violent opposition to an incredibly violent state. State of the forum being all government at all levels. I'm not involved in that. My job is to tell people to get ready, prepare, put food away, understand how to purify water, have the right equipment, understand clothing. If the electricity is turned off, if the gas supply is turned off, how are you going to heat your home? You need good clothing, proper heating. And I had that Mr. Heater, Mr. Buddy, that I kept in my fifth wheel. It was a great heater. It kept me warm and toasty. Folks, this is a strange world we got. Right? You will know when it's time to fight. And the people, if violence becomes the norm, there will be leaders everywhere that will step up and say, it is this way that we march. Go. and they'll take and they'll lead, and people will follow. Right? Kazakhstan is a great example of how seemingly very quickly the people organized and got rid of their threat. Now, I will say this, in America, shall we say, evil law enforcement has a lot of guns, and they will use them to protect themselves. In Kazakhstan, I watched them run. I watched them drive their little vehicles, armored personnel carriers, and other military equipment, fleeing for their lives. I think that in America, if they were overrun in a big way, they might shoot. Now, we did see with the BLM protesters, police running for their lives as the windows were being smashed out of their little squad cars. Scary stuff. I'm not encouraging it, but I do know that, yeah, when you realize you're going to die, right, you get the hell out of Dodge. That can be a reality. We're going to find out, folks, how far these tyrants are going to push. We're going to find it out. We're going to find out what the tyrants will do. Will they send in bigger guns? Will they call for more violence? Or will they run and hide? Right? Not all tyrants, folks, find the guillotine or the hangman's noose. Some of them run and hide, but they never ever quit. They never ever give up being tyrants. They said a tiger can't change its stripes, but it can hide in the jungle. Like, the story changes, the agenda changes, but tyrants never change. They push and they push and they demand until people start dying on both sides. That is what they do. That is the abusive government that Thomas Jefferson, great founding father of the United States of America, said that the tree of liberty should be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots. Right? That this revolution should happen every 20 years. But a 20-year period is a generation. Every generation needs its revolution, in other words, to reconfirm that liberty, freedom is most important. I just, I can't stop thinking about everything that makes America so great. And then asking myself, why would these Democrats want to destroy that? Why do they hate happy people? Why do they hate happy, free people? Why do they hate a country that is free, that is prosperous? Why do they go there and then demand that that country, America, destroy itself, give up its liberties, harm its people? Why do they want to reinstate the concept of socialism and fascism, to try it yet again, having only murdered 100 million people plus over the last 100 years? Why do they want to try it one more time? Why are they so hell-bent on destruction? In the name of what? Well, they claim it's equity, fairness, right? In the name of the socialist experiment, they want to try it again. Why? It has not worked once yet, and they want to try again. And now here they are, folks, in our country, in our nation, the United States of America, land of the free, home of the brave, the place where modern republics have taken their cues in setting up a constitutional form of government that is limited. Though they're not all like the United States, they're similar because they have their culture, their traditions, their laws that they try and incorporate into the program. But it is the United States Constitution that has served as the most effective tool, the most effective guardian for the people to protect them from these tyrants. And in every case where there is a republic, including the United States, it is these tyrants themselves who come in, infiltrate the government, bring it down, and cause shit to hit the fan. Whether we're talking about France, Spain, England, Germany, Japan, Australia, Canada, New Zealand. Need I say more? Are there more to list? Yes. Countless nations have tried to create a constitutional republic, a place where the people can be free. And in every case, folks, it is socialists who go in and destroy it. Communists who infiltrate, who attack. And in this case here in the United States of America, it is no different. Some of them are smoother and cooler, like they are in Canada and England, where they just want a little piece of socialism, right? And then you end up at some point with people like Bojo or Emmanuel Macron, who spit in the face of the people, who try to intentionally piss them off, who want to punish and hurt them. Shrek says, John, they have a God complex. Yes, sir, that is what being a megalomaniac is all about. They're megalomaniacal, God complex. Absolutely 100% correct. They think they're gods, right? They represent intelligence. They represent science. They represent the law. Talk to anyone in government and they'll tell you who they represent, what they represent, that they are the bodily representation of something out there that is powerful. I'm the government. I am the law. And there's a little bit of Judge Dredd for you. I am the law. No, you're not. You're nothing more than a human being. Calm the fuck down. Take your Prozac. Go get a bottle of Ripple. Have a few tugs on that bad dog and really think about who you are. Well, folks, they really don't. They won't back off. They never have. They never will. They have to be chased out of office or have their fire extinguished, just as all other tyrants have. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Godspeed, Semper Fi, and I'll see you in the morning.